It's 7:40. Let's do this. Good evening, Hampton Roads. Good evening, Northeast North Carolina. My name is David Aldrich, Chief Meteorologist of WTKR News 3 Television, and you are watching First Warning Live, where we focus on all things weather, whether storms are coming or whether they're not, but there's good indications that something's coming. And we're sponsored by Marco's Pizza because we get hungry from time to time. In fact, the deal of the week I'll share with you in a moment. Plus, we have some free pizza that we're giving away on tomorrow's live stream. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that. I'll give you details on how you can sign up to win pizza if you don't win this week. The latest on the weekend storm, that's what everybody's talking about, right? The question is where and when and what confidence has grown in the last 24 hours. I think the biggest change for me is the wind, right? The wind is probably going to be a bigger story than the snow. Now, hear me out. I'm not saying we're not going to get some snow. There's probably more likelihood that we're going to see some snow, but I can tell you that when I showed you these tracks yesterday, that I thought it'd be a blend between the blue and the white. So high snow totals, lower snow totals. If it splits the middle, it's less likely it's a mix, because let's face it, the cold air, it's locked in. There's less likely to be a changeover to rain or sleet like we had last time. Now, some of you are like, yay, hooray, finally. Hold on. But I wanted to mention that, did I mention the wind? Winds will steal the show. When I asked you the question, what do you remember most from last weekend? Was it the rain? Was it the snow? Was it the sleet? When I asked that question of news anchor Anthony Sabella, he said, oh, definitely the sleet. Well, if you were up late like I was at midnight, it was the snow. But if you woke up, slept in on Sunday morning, it was the rain, because the rain washed it all away. See what I'm saying? It depended on what time you were engaged in that storm that you remember most. I think when it's all said and done, some say, well, yeah, we got some snow, but boy, those winds took my power out. That's the kind of winds we're talking about, and that puts the moniker snow, strong winds. Maybe blizzard could be used. I don't mean the Dairy Queen blizzard. Sorry, folks, don't mean that. Talking about, could that moniker be assigned by the National Weather Service for blizzard-like conditions in some neighborhoods, particularly North Carolina, the way things are trending right now. I'm getting way ahead of myself, so let me show you what I'm expecting, right? I've got the probability, that's the probability, like you know when you flip a coin, it's a 50-50 chance, it's heads or tails. Well, it's kind of like that. The probability of at least 3 inches of snow, based on today's data. Now, we're still, to be fair, 3 to 4 days out, right? This doesn't likely start until when? About, say, sunrise on Saturday. Indications that this would start maybe around, say, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., somewhere in that time frame. That would be the rolling start Saturday, and likely ending by midday Sunday. So think about that. 24 hours plus that. It's a long storm, long enough to say if it's snowing every one of those hours, you're going to get some decent snow. So I think there's a 70% chance that we get at least three, because it keeps pushing further south. I'm convinced that South Carolina has not been talked about much. And I know that's not our typical viewing area, but there could be more snow in Atlanta. There could be more snow in East Tennessee than in Norfolk. Did you just say what I think? Nobody else is talking about it like that. Well, it's not over yet, right? We're going to get closer. Here's one thing. It doesn't matter what model you subscribe to. All of the models, right? All of them will be in better agreement, will be in better focus when you're within 1 to 3 days, right? We're still 3 to 4 days out from it happening. So I just want to show you, if you're a betting man, if you're somebody who likes to put some money on the blackjack table, there's a 50-60% chance that south side and the peninsulas get some snow that measures at least 3 inches. Could this change tomorrow? Of course it could. It could move. It could drop exponentially for Richmond, down to about maybe less than 40% or less than 60% for Virginia Beach. But right now, this is what we're confident. As we get closer to the event, we'll have more confidence as far as numbers. But it can show you the weekend snow and wind, right? We have this as the latest European model. Again, this is just one solution, but it puts the low here. And you can see the mixing that's going on not far from Myrtle Beach. That's the pink. But there's enough cold air in place that what most of us will sense will be the snow, if this were to verify. And again, it depends on track. Timing is how long is it going to snow? Is it going to snow 24 hours? Is it going to snow 36 hours? All of that's still up for debate. So I show you this, and if you're new to our stream, the timestamp's there. So that would represent a possible solution at 11 o'clock on Saturday night, where it's still snowing, But there are indications. What about South Carolina? What about Atlanta? I think we could see more of this filling into the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. So don't write them off. Please don't write them off. There are solutions that push this further south and west of us. 7 a.m. on Saturday. Doesn't mean we don't get something, but I think the lion's share is going to be in here. We'll have to wait and see. 7 a.m. Sunday, that's when the winds become nasty. I mean, like nasty. We're talking about some very strong winds. So I want to illustrate this. When you have a storm that could jog 50 to 100 miles left, 50 to 100 miles east, you're still going to get some strong winds. You're going to have some tidal flooding. I'm going to talk about the full moon in a moment, but there's going to be marine and coastal impacts. Power outages is my concern. Because if you have winds, as I'm seeing on some of the modeling, you could be looking at gusts that are 40 on Sunday morning. I mean, go back to this graphic because it's maybe missed. It's going to be windy Saturday, but it could be worse on Sunday. Let me say that again. It's going to be windy on Saturday, but it could be worse, exponentially worse on Sunday as the system pulls away, brings that strong northerly wind. So you got tidal flooding, you got the full moon. Did you know the full moon was last full on the 3rd of January? No one's going to tell you that. That's the wolf moon. Now the next full moon, 100% full, is February 1st. That's Sunday. What do they call the full moon in February? The snow moon. Oh, nobody told you that. Isn't that funny? Mother Nature's trying to tell you something. Snow moon, full moon, tidal flood, yeah, all of it's going to likely unfold. But the question is, will you be ready? Because I've shown you this before. We talk about tidal flooding, full moon, power outage, possibility. The winds, I think, will steal the show, no matter how much snow you get. Now, to classify it as a blizzard, you got to have, 35-mile-an-hour gusts for at least 3 hours in a row, coupled with poor visibility down to a quarter mile. You could easily have blowing and drifting. So if these winds crank up that high Sunday morning, there's probably going to be a blizzard watch or a blizzard warning in some of our neighborhoods. That's a possibility. I can take you as far as Saturday afternoon. Look at this. By the time you hit 6 a.m. Saturday, remember I said it was going to be windy Saturday, but could be worse on Sunday? Look at the Outer Banks, right? They're already in the 40 plus by midday Saturday. It's easy to assume that they could have gusts that are closing in on 58 knots, which translates to about 65 or 66 miles an hour. You think that would do some damage to your power? Maybe. Could. And it's speculation right now because we're still, 3 to 4 days away. A lot can change. I know that's kind of weird, but all the models, curiously, tend to come into better agreement within 1 to 3 inches of the event starting. And I'll have a snow map for you tomorrow night. So not only are you going to get announcements on free pizza tomorrow night, but you also have a snow map so you can put it in your pocket and say, that guy said we're getting such and such. I'm going to tell you tonight, you're getting some wind, you and I both. By the way, you can also get 50% off your pizza tonight if you use the promo code WTKR50. Screenshot it, save it, share it. Our friends at Marco's generous enough to give you, our viewers, 50% off. It's good through Saturday. WTKR, we do a different deal of the week each week, but I can tell you there are 6 locations that will participate in this contest. This is 3 in Virginia Beach, 2 in Chesapeake, and 1 in Norfolk. And if you want to sign up, you can sign up by going to WTKR.com/Marcos. It's not too late. It's not too late. We'll announce the winners tomorrow. Very thankful for Marcos. Of course, the certificate would enable you, if you're randomly selected, to receive a large one-topping pizza every month for the next year for free. That'll carry you into, it's almost the end of January. It'll take you into January 2027, right? So if you got one in January, and Lynn Old, who's watching probably, he has just received this a couple weeks back. So he's got 12 pizzas. You would get 12 pizzas with one topping that would carry you 12 months into the future. And if you win, your name would be in the upper right corner. So we'll mail this to you if you win. And we're also going to give away some free pizza, individual pizzas. So 10 individual pizzas will go out the door tomorrow. I love the fact that we can do that. Some people say, hey, I never tried Marco's, but since I guess I want a pizza, I might as well try it. Don't throw it away when you get that letter in the mail. It's not junk mail. You may actually have been a winner for some pizza. We'll announce those winners tomorrow. But I just want to say thanks to our friends at Marco's. Also remind you that they have a great item called a Pozzoli. I love it. It was the first thing I tried at Marco's. It's like a Stromboli or a calzone. You go to marcos.com and you can order the pepperoni and sausage, the pepperoni, buffalo chicken or chicken bacon ranch, and they have a great Magnifico with the old style, the old cup type of pepperoni. It's really cool. And also, lastly but not leastly here, satisfy your appetite. go to WTKR.com/Marcus. All right, time to get back to your comments. I had a few last night. I wanted to share this one from Jenny. Jenny, are you still there? Hopefully you are. And if you are, then I'll just put you on the screen. She may actually be here. Yep, we're going to send her through. Here she comes. She said, prepared. This was about 10 hours ago. She just posted this 10 hours ago. What that would be about practically this morning. But she said she's prepared, yes, but no crazy panic buying this time, or we won't get anything. See, I believe she's probably on Team Snow, and she doesn't want to jinx it. Have you ever been there? Are you in that camp? Do you ever feel like you're going to jinx it if we talk about too much? Because I don't want you doing panic buying like this. Please say no to this. This is a non-starter. Please don't do that. We're going to just X this out. Obviously, it's AI generated, but makes everybody laugh because you know what? You don't need that much toilet paper, right? If you are using that much toilet paper, you have other issues besides a snowstorm. And if you're lactose intolerant, you probably don't need that much milk, and you don't need that much bread. Save some for others. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we can get ahead of ourselves, but I mean, everybody can pull a fast one, but a joke. I'm just joking with you. Please don't have panic buying. Some of you are still dealing with the sleds and the de-icers from last weekend's storm. You know who you are. You bought something way too early. Now you're thinking, well, maybe I'll use it this weekend. It's possible. We'll see what happens. But I got to get to more new comments, and I got to get down the road here. By the way, the January moon's calendar. I mentioned it was full on January 3rd. I put an X there. But that is the wolf moon. And then we've got a 98. Is it 98? Yeah, 98%. I should go back to yellow. I like the yellow better. 98% full on Saturday, but it's 100% full on February 1st. I don't know if that makes any sense. You know, what difference does that make? Well, it's maybe semantics, but a full moon, it's going to only make things worse in terms of tidal flooding. Right? You're going to have some gravitational pull. It's going to have some issues, I think, down the road there. Now, we mentioned the snow forecasting timeline. We are way past 6 to 8 hours, or 6 to 8 days. We're even closer than 4 to 5. We're now at 3 to 4 days out, which says, hey, it says becoming more likely. What's becoming more likely? The winds. The winds are becoming more likely. Now, when we get to tomorrow, we'll be about, what, 2 to 3 days out. Once we get to Thursday, then it's going to be time to start the plan. And I'll have a snow forecast map for you that I'm willing to put my neck out on. Last time I said trace to 2, and people are like, oh, I only got 1.1. You said we're going to trace to 2, and I only got 1.1. Well, I'm sorry. I should take that as a high five, because you know what? 1.1 falls between trace to 2. But then by the time you get 1 to 2, then you should be in full ready mode, right? You'll be ready if your power goes out. You'll have some kind of either access to a generator or a place to go if you should lose power. How do you check on your neighbors? How do you check on your friends? How do you make sure your pets are cared for? There's a lot going on here, but right now we're still waiting for the models to come into better agreement. I think will be a better place to start that plan and be able to articulate it with you without hype or noise or over-exaggeration. Because I'll be honest with you, some of the models today, literally, I'm not making this up, thought it's nonsense, but thought we would get 1 to 2 inches, 1 to 2 feet of snow in Norfolk. Sorry, it's like la la la. It's not happening. I'm here to assure you that's not happening. So if there's physical problems or the physics of these models are faulty, you're not getting that from somebody who just posted online. So you do yourself a disservice and your neighborhood if you perpetuate that rumor. So I'm telling you this because the weather nerds like me who watch this stream are appreciative that my cards are on the table, right? I can see that some of these models are still swinging for the fences on snow totals, but I'm not buying into it. And I really think you would be doing yourself a disservice if you bought into it this far out. We have received 2.1 inches of snow so far this season, dating back to Veterans Day. Had 0.2 on the day, actually pre-dawn hours of Veterans Day. Monday the 8th, we picked up 0.8. On the 8th of December, I believe that Norfolk, actually Virginia Beach, got 2 inches by that evening. And Monday, December 8th, we had 3, 4, 5 inches in Williamsburg, Yorktown, Gloucester. They got a lot of snow, a lot more than the 0.8 illustrated here. But if you were to look at the airport as a measure of, maybe historical context, we had 1.1. If you add these two from last weekend, 1.1. So we're total up. That was Virginia Beach. We're total up to 2.1. Kind of curious to know what you've got. I want to say something to you. I want to go ahead and load in the new comments because I was reading some old ones that were kind of making me giggle, make me laugh. If you can make me laugh, that's always a good thing. Sometimes we just have to not take things so seriously, especially when the event hasn't happened yet, right? We're talking about something that hasn't even occurred. It's a future tense event. Got some new notes here. Amy Thompson. Let's see here. You need to tell them to chill out there. Yeah, they're all, I tell you this because somebody will watch what I'm putting out on this live stream and they'll say, you can't believe him because I heard we're getting fill in the blank. You know what I mean? I've been doing this a while. As I said, I don't need to prove my card. I'm a card-carrying member of Team Snow. I endured 435.5 inches of snow in the 4 years I lived in Rochester, New York. And that's when my first child was born. My wife can attest that we had a lot of snow, and she put up a lot because she's from Texas. She didn't like snow. But to move to Rochester, New York, you kind of have to figure out how snow works. And so that's the expertise that I earned from those 4 years are brought to the table. Also worked 4 years in Philadelphia. And there are storms that we come off the coast of New Jersey where we get nothing or we would get buried. And so sometimes you just have to know the nuances that these models have some strengths. They all have strengths, but they also have weaknesses. And people will post the weak ones. And then everybody always says, oh, this is what we're getting. Please don't buy into that. So we're going to give you the outline, more detail in a moment. I've got to get through tonight. I do see some evidence of a snow shower tonight for the eastern shore. Could be a few flurries, but I want to zoom in a little bit on this area around Exmoor. When I get to the Futurecast toward the end of this stream, you will see, as I have, that by 10, 11 o'clock, there's some evidence that something flaky could form as it drops off into the Atlantic. So we could continue to see some flakes tonight, but again, these are just stray flakes. It's part of the pattern. This morning we fell to 25. That happened at 8 o'clock, straight up. I was expecting 20, but to be fair, Newport News was 19, Melfa was 19. And we had some 20s in Chesapeake and Suffolk. So cold, yes. 25, maybe not as cold as it was yesterday because it was 19 in Norfolk on Tuesday. So this is Wednesday. We got up to 32. Now this is misleading. Daytime high was 30, but they put us in for an upside down day. 32 came at 12:25 a.m. So about a half hour or a little less than midnight, after half hour after midnight, we hit 32 and we kept falling. And coincidentally, it's worth noting that they moved our 33 high yesterday. After the live stream, we had a southwest wind and they moved us to 34. Semantics. But the fact that a southwest wind moved us up to a high temperature at 10:56 last night, moved us to 34. This 32 came at 12:26 or so in the morning this morning. So all this to say, we've been above freezing, but not very long. It's really been tough for those who are not situated or designed for cold air. And for some of you, it's really, really tough. Even at this hour, we're approaching 8 o'clock. It's 7:57. It's already 23 in Chesapeake. I'm expecting a low tonight, generally in the mid to upper teens, but it could feel like it's 8 with the wind chill at 6 or 7 tomorrow morning. Currently in Hampton, you're 28. Portsmouth, you're 26, as is Moyock and Elizabeth City and Hertford. Our friends in Edenton got up to 38 today, but they're 29 now, and that's cold. Williamsburg, you're 29. Gloucester, you're at 24. Throw in some wind, why don't you? It feels like it's about 23 in Chesapeake. I don't see a whole lot of wind on this map. Maybe the winds have slowed down a bit. They're calm right now. We have calm winds at the airport for the last 2 hours, but it feels like 28 in Currituck. No picnic here, right? It's only 8 o'clock at night on a Wednesday. So the Weather Service, with their newly improved and repackaged wind chill advisory, it's now called a cold weather advisory. It's the same thing. But focus groups and social scientists said, oh, cold weather's better. People respond to cold weather advisories way, way better than a wind chill advisory. Maybe. That's what we're going with. That's what we're going with. This is what they issued, and you'll see it goes all the way down toward Verdanthe and into Dare County, Elizabeth City, Ahoskie. Wind chills could be as low as -2. That started at 7 o'clock tonight, about an hour ago, and we're going to continue to watch that through 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. But lows could be easily 17 in Suffolk, 16 in Gloucester, 15 in Matthews, 19 in Moyock, Corolla, about 25. So here's where I expect to be tomorrow morning. And even if it's off by a degree or two, it's still bone-chilling cold, right? 5, 4, 9 in Albemarle, it's cold. And does it get much better in the afternoon? You be the judge. Well, it may feel like it's 24. Well, that's better than 8. Yeah, I'd say so. It's better than 5. Yeah, I'd say so. But even by the end of the afternoon, it may not feel much different. So let me show you my planner for tomorrow. This will hopefully give you some intel. Yeah, we might get a few stray flakes tonight, particularly along the eastern shore. But tomorrow is a sunny start, a mostly sunny start to the afternoon, partly cloudy, partly cloudy. Barely get above 30. I still think we're below freezing all day tomorrow. And the wind's about 10 to 15, about 26 degrees at midday. So at lunchtime, 26 degrees. I'm checking in with the new comments. If you have something new you would like to share, Kim Thompson, you are very kind. Somebody is going, hey, David is amazing. Lynn, you've got some pizza. I hope you're sharing it with your family and your neighbors, my friend. Lynn Old, having won the pizza certificate for a year a couple of weeks ago. Any totals yet? Jessica, we're going to announce those tomorrow, right? Why on earth would I put totals out there when it could change? And I'm still riding on it changing. I am suspecting the snow is going to push further south to, ready for this, East Tennessee and the Smokies. More snow for Atlanta, more snow for South Carolina. I think it's going to go that direction. Wait and see. I will revisit this tomorrow. Now that still means North Carolina could feel the brunt of the snow, which means there could be a blizzard watch issued for North Carolina, and maybe, to a lesser extent, could it be here? Again, the criteria that the National Weather Service will work with is, do I have visibility down to a quarter mile for at least 3 hours and winds of 35 plus? It's possible. It's on the table. So a blizzard watch, blizzard warning, that moniker may be seen. Well, we'll have to wait and see once we get, you got to have snow, right, to have the blizzard. You can't just have the winds. You got to have the snow. So we'll have to wait and see. Will they coexist at the same time? Now, I just want to see how many of you are watching live. This is a good litmus test for me to see who's watching us live. Here's a chance with some weather trivia brought to you by our own forecaster, Derek Getter. What does the acronym RADAR stand for? Da-da-da. Well, I didn't know it stood for something. Yeah, it stands for something. Is it A, B, or C? Is it radar detection and ranging? Or is it reconnaissance Doppler? Or is it rain and data review? Radar is an acronym. It actually stands for something. What do you think it is? Just let me know. Love to know what you think. Amy is telling us to charge your electronics. Very good idea. I think it'd be a great idea. Remember, I think the lasting mark will be the power. If we lose it, it stinks. Just ask the people in Nashville, right? I believe Nashville is on day 4 of the massive storm. They are still without power in a good part of Middle Tennessee. So, yeah, that's a whole sidebar. But it's a lesson learned, right? What would you do, hypothetically, if you lost power? Maybe you only lose it for 20 minutes. Maybe the crews get out there quick. Maybe you lose it for 2 hours. Maybe you lose it for a full day. That'd be really tough. What do you do in the refrigerator? Ooh, I can't have that happen. So make plans. That will start the plans tomorrow. What does the acronym RADAR stand for? I got some notes. Some people are guessing. Let me go back and fly this in here. I got some notes from Dawn. Dawn Turner says it's A. She seems very confident, and I want to compliment Dawn Turner and give her kudos because her suspicion is radio detection ranging. She's ding, 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 ding. She got it right. That's what it stands for. And it has some age on it, but yeah, we're going to be using that radar quite a bit, I'm sure, this weekend. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, people, I think it's kind of cool when you got some cool weather trivia. Thank you for participating. Got quite a few guesses there. Marilyn Bell guessing B. Hang in there, Marilyn. You'll get the next one. You do very well too. Jessica Hall saying A. All right, here are my headlines. If you're just joining us, you didn't miss anything. I'll revisit this before I'm done. It's 8:03. Stray flakes are possible tonight. Maybe even a brief snow shower, mainly along the eastern shore. So much like a realtor says location, 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 that's where I think it'll mainly be tonight. But it'll be frigid tomorrow. We got some sunshine. We'll start in the teens and we'll finish in the lower 30s. Could get into the middle 30s, mid 30s for North Carolina tomorrow, but even still it's cold. This weekend though, I'm calling it wind-driven snow is now more likely. I didn't say it was going to be the same everywhere. I already showed you some percentages. I think there's a favorable chance, better chance, for the 70% chance to be in North Carolina. Precipitation chances 10% on Friday, and then 80% chance on Saturday. Now you'll notice there's a little sun here. What's going on there, Aldrich? Well, that's because it's mainly going to snow in the morning, and then I think it's going to exit with some sunshine in the afternoon. But once the sun pops out, I think that's when the winds really kick in. you get that momentum transfer down to the surface, and you go, whoa, what was that? That's the wind. So be prepared. It's going to be worse on Sunday. It's not going to be a picnic on Saturday, but based on the speed, I think it's going to be much worse on Sunday. So it depends as this thing rolls up toward New England. We've got the potential for a lot of wind and potentially a lot of power outages. I'm not wishing that on anybody. I don't want to lose power. You don't want to lose power, but we got to take care of each other because we're all we got. Temperature trend is normally high, about 51 this time of year. We're going to still be about 20 degrees or more for the next 3-4 days. I don't think we're getting out of the 20s, y'all, on Saturday, Sunday. Don't think it. Not going to happen. It's going to be brutal cold. So if you are prepared for snow, you get a little snowpack on the ground, overnight lows might even turn much colder. Now I want to show you the upper air pattern, but I also wanted to show you today's map, as this is the upper air analysis. This is not a forecast. I like to show this because this is kind of like the canary in the coal mine for 30 days into the future. Well, how does that work? What I'm looking at is roughly 10 to 11 miles up in the sky. Okay, 10 to 11 miles. Now that's part of the stratosphere. The stratosphere arguably is 6 to 31 miles up in the sky, where the models don't look. They're not designed to see that, right? So where warm air rises, and it's rising over the poles and over Canada, there's a good chance that this will have some implications about 30 days late. So if this is the 28th of January, the last day of February, I think you're going to have a better chance for more cold air coming down in this direction. I think it's going to miss us, right? We'll still get some cold air, but it's going to be focused where? New England, right? Because here's North Carolina and Virginia down here. So I think we're going to see a little bit 30 days from now. I thought it was going to get really cold around Valentine's Day, but I think it's going to let up a little bit locally as we head toward the end of February. So maybe that's good news. People would say, yeah, get me to spring. I'm ready for spring. Ready for it. I was ready for it like a day ago. But here's what's interesting to see. You can see that cold air swinging down. Now, this is the low. I said yesterday, is it going to be off the coast of Myrtle Beach or is it going to be off the coast of Savannah? I said if it's closer to Savannah, that's going to drop our snow totals in Virginia Beach, right? And you can see the coloring. We'll go another hour or two in the future. So now it's like, is it here? Is it here or is it here? Where's that center? And I said there would be likely a very strong monster high, roughly 1047 millibars, going to be dropping down from Fargo to Oklahoma City. That's going to push this thing further south. I think you're going to see snow totals drop for the 757, where they may increase between Myrtle Beach and Wilmington, Wrightsville Beach. I think that's possible. Elizabeth City, you should brace for some good snows. I mean, good snow, meaning like you're going to have to use the shovel. But we'll wait and see, and we'll fine-tune that tomorrow. But you can see that the center of this upper air pattern brings it right over Myrtle Beach by the latter part of Sunday, and then it's going where? Then it gets fragmented, right? It's moved out off the coast, and then where does it go from there? It moves away toward New England from that point forward. You can see it now advancing away. So the farther away it goes, it's better for us here, at least in Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and Portsmouth, but it may not be much saving grace for the Tar Heel State. I think, again, there's still going to be bands of very heavy snow in South Carolina, and so you could have multiple states with potential blizzard concerns. I mean, it's just part of the territory. And then look how warm it gets next Wednesday, the 4th. So you're going to find some back and forth. And like I said, what we're seeing in the long term is it brings some of this cold air where? Notice it's coming down this way, right? It's missing us. It's coming down in this direction. So we're still going to, even though you might get a surge of cold air, it's going to affect New England more than us. That's the 7th. That may be a similar setup going into the 28th. But I think there could be another do-si-do cold spell going into Valentine's Day based on some of the modeling and on some of the analysis. So it's just a matter of tracking it. It comes and goes. It's like watching spokes of a wheel. It comes down and then it reloads and locks and reloads. I mentioned 32 was our high temperature today. That occurred just after midnight at 12:25. So that was technically a midnight high. Daytime high never got higher than 30. But now that we've revised this, happened at just before 11 p.m., we hit 34. I thought we would have 3 days in a row at 33. Well, they've changed that. So now we're slightly, but we haven't had a day below freezing yet. That could come tomorrow. And as I mentioned, in December, we finished the month. That's taking all the highs and lows. We were almost, 4.5 degrees colder than normal. That's the departure from normal. Right now, it's like negative 0.2 as of yesterday. So Even if we get cold days here, we will. I don't think you're going to match how cold it was in December. December will have been colder than January. And the reason that is because we had 2 days in the 70s. We had record highs, right? We had record highs. So I'm going to come back on the camera here. But this just tells you that we have a little ways to go. So we'll have to wait and see. I got to reboot my computer, which takes about 3 seconds. So as far as the temperature, yeah, we're going to end very cold. The last time we were 60 last Thursday, but we were in the mid-70s in the second weekend of January. Hard to believe, but it seems like a long time ago, no doubt. All right, so to have multiple sources for information, I think Amy had it right. Charge and make sure you have your phone charged, but having a NOAA weather radio that's battery operated can also give you the updates so that if something changes, you get notified in the middle of the night. When you lose power, if you don't lose power, having multiple sources, it just makes sense. The satellite radar shows some wet weather in South Florida, where I'm sure they're belly aching right now. They're in the 40s in Tallahassee, 50s perhaps in Miami, but cold, cold, cold for their standards of living. It is cold and snowy, I'm sure, in parts of the Pacific Northwest. And if we look at, I guess we're heading back toward Washington State, Seattle, it looks like some snow, maybe the Cascades, and some rain across Seattle and parts of Oregon, not far from Portland, and even some snowflakes falling into parts of Montana, where they've got some snow showers at this hour. Not a whole lot going on in Texas, and it's pretty quiet across the southeast, with the exception of South Florida, where they're getting some rain at this particular hour. If you got a comment, would love to say hi to you. I'm looking at some notes here. I got David Leggett. He is cheering it on, my friend. He says, baby, let it snow. Let it snow, baby. You may get your wish. This time around, you may get your wish. Amy Thompson says, my people in Florida are happy. I don't know if they're happy because it's 40s in Tallahassee or colder, maybe 50s rather in Miami. But Dara Getter, our forecaster Dara Getter, is from Florida, and she says her parents aren't too happy. So I'm going to take her word at it. It's tough. I got some notes from Amy Thompson again. She's making me laugh. Snuggle weather. Yeah, and when you get to Valentine's Day, right? It's hug your honey, cuddle your cutie, snuggle your sweetie. It's almost that time, right? It doesn't really matter how cold. If it's cold outside, it just makes you want to do it all the more. But if you have the right spouse, the right partner, you want to hug them all the time. All right, so we got here, Virginia Beach is on the Weather Channel. She says, oh, well, I guess we made it, right? Oh, we made it. We made it to the Weather Channel. You're even doing better. You're on WTKR. I think that's really cool. And then I got a note from Mary. She says, do you really think we will get snow this upcoming weekend? I think it's likely. We're going to get something, but we're not going to get buried with no 24 inches of nonsense, which is perpetuated anytime some of these models spit out an output. But I want to go back and say this again. Somebody was asking which track is today. I said, that's like asking me which breakfast cereal is at the grocery store. Well, they're all at the grocery store. I can show you model support for every one of those tracks, right? So it really isn't a matter of, well, which one's going to be, we'll have to wait and see. Use the example of having a crossword puzzle in the newspaper back in the day. You had to wait to the next day's newspaper to know what the answers were. We'll know more tomorrow, and I'm going to have a snow map for you by this time tomorrow night. So I encourage you to check back. We'll have some winners on the pizza at that time as well. But I got to show you this because this is the outlook between tonight through the 7th of Saturday. That's February 7th. You can clearly see there's a diving of the cold air all the way down to South Carolina. Look at that, and then it rolls out. And then we have maybe a few more flurries around, but there doesn't seem at this stage. It doesn't take long. Did you happen to notice, maybe it's just me, did you happen to notice just as soon as last weekend's storm was done, there was suddenly a hyping up of the next storm, which is this weekend. So don't do that. It's one of those things that just let it run its course, right? We, even in the weather community, have to recognize there's some things we can't explain and there's some things we can't give you. Now, we're going to give you a specific timeline tomorrow morning. We're going to give you snow totals. We'll give you all that, but just be patient because I'd rather give you the right information than say, oh, did I say that? Oh, I take that back. I'm not doing that. I'm going to do that one time. We'll tell you what the snow expectations are, and we'll do that likely on a Thursday for a Saturday-Sunday event. I think that's reasonable. It's also more responsible to say the least, because there are a lot of people that ride on these weather forecasts on weekends, not to least to mention the boat show, the Jurassic Quest, the Brick Legos Live Fest in Hampton Roads Convention Center. There's so much going on. The Norfolk Admirals have a game against the Lions. So there's so much depending on the weather. Because if you scare people, they're not coming. You get my drift? We're not doing that here. We will get you prepared as we see it more in focus. 26 current temperature in Portsmouth. Kind of covered this already. 25 in Franklin, 30 in Edenton, 26 in Manio. We got single-digit numbers right now at 8 o'clock in Columbus, Indianapolis, and Pittsburgh. That's brutal. That's 9. And then I mentioned Tallahassee was in the 40s. That's hogwash. They're now at 37. They were in the 40s, I think, at 6. They were at 30. I think they were 46 in Tallahassee at 6 o'clock, maybe 7. But now it's 8, and they've dropped to 37. They're even colder in Tallahassee than Atlanta, right? Nashville, all the power outages in Middle Tennessee, they're 10 degrees colder at 30. So this is obviously having an impact all the way down the chain, right? All the way down toward the Gulf. And some people either love it, hate it, dread it, and are just waiting for the pattern, the weather pattern, to change. And it's not going to do it at least this week. We'll have to wait till next. How cold is it in northern parts? Northern parts of Canada, negative 15 right now in Fort Severn, negative 8 in Lynn Lake Airport. I'd like to show you some of that just so we tend to we blot that out because there's a state line there in North Dakota, Minnesota, but they're really cold further north. We got sub-zero dew points. It's Chapstick City across the board. Winter, anytime you got dew points in the single numbers or sub-zero, it's brutal, and you need lots of lotion to keep your hands from cracking. Lots of lotion. Now, as far as the cold, look how deep it goes into Florida. The blue is the highway, but the real Arctic air is in white, and it tends to drift toward Maine and maybe New England by the 5th and 6th of February. But there could be reinforcements. As I mentioned before, there could be another spoke of this by the time we get toward Valentine's Day where it comes back down the chain. So I think we'll get another round of it. Doesn't mean it's a snowstorm, but cold air is typically dry. The 3rd through the 7th is pictured on your screen. You want above normal temperatures, go west, my friend. Below normal for Florida. That's not a misprint. It is below normal, multiple shades of purple there, or blue, in the Sunshine State. And there's a little hint of it in the 757 in Northeast North Carolina. It's also multiple shades of blue. So we've got still cold weather through the 7th. That's the 6 to 10 day outlook. The 8 to 14 outlook still looks pretty cold across the East Coast. So it's really hard to let this break. It's not necessarily going to go away anytime soon. 27 is the magic number from Chincoteague to Onancock tomorrow for the Eastern Shore. 29 in Cape Charles, about 28 for Exmoor, a mostly sunny day tomorrow. And the sunshine will dominate for Kill Devil Hills and Nags Head. Duck, North Carolina, 31. Manio, 31, and 31 for Rodanthe. About 34 for Ocracoke and Hatteras come Thursday afternoon. So let me take you through time. What did we say at the beginning? Well, we talked about the wind, but I mean in terms of tonight, I said, look, be on the lookout for some snow showers or flurries here. Let's see if that holds true in the latest model. Yeah, there it is. There it is. So Onancock, calling you out. Exmoor, if you're there near the diner, and you look out the window at 10 o'clock, which is really in about less than 2 hours. Please don't be surprised. Invariably what happens is we'll get a call in the weather center or the newsroom, and they'll say, did you call for this? Yeah, we're calling for it, right? If you didn't hear it, it's like, I didn't expect this. So it's just one of those things. It may be location, 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 but this seems to be where it is at 10 o'clock. But by midnight, maybe those flakes make it to Norfolk or Virginia Beach. Stranger things have been known to happen. So if you're up late tonight, there's still some flakes, it looks like, in Cape Charles at midnight. But most of it's working its way out to sea, and there she goes, right? You got sunshine on 7 a.m. Thursday. Gather around at noon. It's still pretty cold at 26 in Norfolk, but the sun is shining. Then we go into 4 or 5 o'clock. It's still partly cloudy to mostly sunny, and then we start to cloud up on Friday. Friday is an interesting day. Interesting day. You got a 10% chance we get a flake. We got clouds. Where you have clouds, you might get a few flurries. No big deal. There's a flurry in Franklin. What time is that? That's 3 o'clock. But this is not the beginning of the weekend event. No, no, no. That's going to come later. As you can see illustrated here, that's 11 o'clock on Friday night, and it's still quiet. I suspect this will likely start towards sunrise on Saturday and pull back by midday Sunday. But we're not out of the woods when the snow ends, or if it even starts, but we're not it. We've got the wind. The winds, as that system moves up toward New England, the northerly wind's going to exasperate, or maybe make things worse the tidal flooding, and added to that the snow moon, the full snow moon with the gravitational pull. So we've got some other issues to work through. I showed you this at the top of the live stream. We're going to wrap things up here, but the inside track seems far less likely. I can't say it couldn't happen, but I'm linking, as I said yesterday, my gut instinct was it was a blend between the blue and the white line. It's not the super crazy totals. It's not necessarily the lower totals, although that remains to be seen, right? Are we living by divine revelation, or are we living by human reason, or are we living by machine learning from AI? Because some people are like, I just trust the AI models. Well, maybe you do, right? Maybe they haven't been put to the test yet. Because every model that we have suddenly has an AI version. We'll wait and see. But my suspicion is this is where we're headed. And I think it's going to have some implications. I mentioned this before. This is not a forecast. This is simply probability. That probability could go to 0 for your town or community or neighborhood, depending on track tomorrow. But if you were to try and peg Jell-O to the wall tonight, I'd say there's at least a 70% chance that Elizabeth City has at least 3 inches of snow. Right? That's where I think the lion's share of the snow is going to go, and it may drop exponentially from Williamsburg and Exmoor and Melfa. Probably going to drop. So I don't think it's a 50% coin toss, but once we get a little bit closer, which is tomorrow, it's really not that long, I just think it's important that you be ready. Have a plan, right? If we're confident that some of our neighborhoods are going to deal with snow, some of you are going to run to the store, sadly. Maybe you have enough supplies that you got through last weekend you didn't use. You're already set. You're way ahead of the curve. But the weekend snow may develop like this. Could see some rain around Hatteras based on this model, because if you see very closely, Hatteras or Dantham could see some changing over to rain as it begins to depart. And depending on its inflection point, it'll make more snow maybe further south towards South Carolina and sweeping through Morehead City and the Outer Banks. Eventually it changes over to all snow even for Rodanthe, but it could have a little onset of some rain there. Very strong winds, tidal flooding, full moon, we've touched on that. The marine and coastal impacts still a little blurry. We don't know fully, but it's growing. Our confidence is growing that there will be coastal impacts. And the power outages, how can you forecast a power outage? You can't. But I can at least tell you, it's my concern. It's my concern. It's one of my top concerns that well beyond the snow, which can be shoveled, when you have those kind of winds, what happens? It's called blowing and drifting. Whoosh, that little piece of ice blows down the street. You see what I'm visualizing? You got to visualize what would happen if you got 3 inches of snow, maybe less, but 3 inches of snow with those types of winds, and then all the tidal flooding. You'd say, that's a headache. And that may be what we're going to work with. So just be patient. Look out after each other. Like I said before, windy on Saturday, could be worse on Sunday. Windy on Saturday, way worse on Sunday because of the placement. Again, it could move 50 miles closer, 50 miles east, but even then still, you're still going to get wrapped up in the winds. As this thing deepens, it will be gnarly to work through. Thursday morning, 18/20/19. That's my expectation. 22 in Virginia Beach, 25 Duck, 22 in Edenton, 15 Franklin, 14 Cortland, about 15 for Matthews, and about 18 for Smithfield and Norfolk, about 19 Chesapeake and Moyock for lows. Now it's going to feel like 8, 5, or 6 maybe tomorrow morning. That we have to work through for those who have to stop at the bus stop. Please make sure they're bundled up. 31 Southside, 29 Peninsula. These are high temperatures tomorrow. And in Portsmouth, about, say, 31, 35 for North Carolina. Got 36 for Edenton, Windsor, Bertie County, about 36, 32 Hampton, and 29 Cape Charles, about 31 Norfolk and Corolla. And Nagshead also below freezing for a high temperature tomorrow. Pretty rare to see that. You don't see that every day. Now, here's your first warning. WTKR News 3 7-day forecast. 30 on Friday, Saturday, wind-driven snow. It was very, very deliberate to put more wind on Sunday, right? We got wind implications, but more wind on Sunday as it departs. So if you think it's bad on Saturday, buckle the door, buckle your seatbelt. It's going to get windier, but I don't think we're getting out of the 20s. 34 on Monday, 38 on Tuesday. That's Groundhog Day, by the way, if you like to follow Puxatawny Phil. And then we could be closing in on 40 come Wednesday of next week. So there's a lot to unpack here. I probably didn't get to nearly as many questions as I possibly could, but Sean Smith is following up with a note saying Poquoson is going to flood 100%. And that can be certainly a fear, right? You know, like what would winds that strong, gusting 40, 50, 60, 65. I mean, I saw 58 knots in some of the profiling today, and I thought, well, that can't be good, right? That can't be good. But again, even that's contingent on where that low sets up. If it pushed further south, maybe get it further away from us, maybe the winds are only 50. Boy, wouldn't that be great? Instead of 60, 65, maybe it's only 50, 55 for the Outer Banks. We still have to wait and see. That's why I said I don't want to put stuff out there that's only going to confuse you or mislead you. It's not that I'm holding anything back. It's just that we need more confirmation in the data, as all of the models will have better agreement when you are within 1 to 3 days. Does that mean it can't change when it's within 1 to 3 days? Of course it can. But it's less likely to change dramatically. We get honed in, like zooming in on a photograph, right? We're going to have a better focus of what we're focused on. 34 for Monday, 38 on Tuesday. By the way, here's some happy shots from James River. We've highlighted Katrina Gay's beautiful James River pictures before, but Dara Getter captured these from our WTKR photographers page. I don't know the age of some of them, but boy, they remind us some of the beauty that is from this area. And Jessica Danielle, thank you for sharing that with us. Sandra Snyder showing some ice with the sunset in the background. Very artistic. Thank you, Sandra. And this last one from William on the James River with the sun in the background. Love it. So thank you for sharing that. Always appreciate your help. I got a follow-up note from Kim Thompson-Jones. She's reminding us as we're looking at maybe some flakes in the Eastern Shore tonight. She said, as always, thanks, David, for keeping us informed. My pleasure. Doing my best to keep everybody in the know. As we look at the 7-day one more time, I want to thank Amy, Kim, Sean, Brandon. Brandon says he wants to know, how much are we getting? That seems to be the best question everybody's asked me. And they're fair questions, Brandon. But there are two questions that usually come up in my years of doing this. People will say, are we going to see some snow or are we going to get some snow? Those two verbs, see and get, mean very different things to different people. For someone from Florida, are we going to see some snow? If they see a flake in the distance, they saw it. But for someone who's from maybe Buffalo, New York, who says, I thought you said we were going to get some snow. I just had this much, right? Someone from Buffalo, New York has a different threshold of what getting it means. Are you going to get it or are you going to see it? So right now, we still don't know. We'll find out more. And if anyone tells you they know for certain how much snow you're going to get in your neighborhood, please look the other way. It's just not, you're doing yourself a disservice, especially if you're anxiety prone. Oh, I don't want that. I don't want this. It's not worth it. And some people may manipulate the situation just to get the dopamine and the clicks on Facebook or on social media. Just don't give it till tomorrow. We'll know more tomorrow. Did I mention there is something you don't have to worry about? And that's half off your bill for pizza, because our friends at Marco's has pizza, they have salads, they have wings, they got subs, they got anything. And anything you want to buy at marcos.com, they're going to take 50% off tonight through Saturday, because this is the deal of the week. You can get it before the storm. Right? They'll even deliver it before the storm. I'm sure they don't want to be out in the weather if it's nasty, but we do expect 50% off, and can expect, if you're a First Warning watcher, you can screenshot it, save it, share it. They don't mind. It's okay. But there are 6 locations, 3 in Virginia Beach in the 757, 2 in Chesapeake, 1 in Norfolk, that's participating in the 50% off, as well as the free pizza, which we're going to announce tomorrow, because I've said multiple times before, if you win the pizza for a year, you get 1 large, 1 topping pizza every month, and you can use this like a punch card, put it on your refrigerator door. You'll get 1 in February, because that's probably when you'll get it, March, right through January of 2027, because you'll get 12 pizzas depending on what month you receive this certificate. But we are going to announce that winner tomorrow, plus we're going to give away 10 individual pizzas as well. So I encourage you to sign up. And if you haven't signed up, you can also make sure that you grab the Pozzoli. That could be half off tonight. The Pepperoni Magnifico is half off tonight if you use the promo code. But there are so many things you can get. Satisfy your appetite. Go to WTKR.com/Marcos. For those of you who've never been to Marcos, like I don't even know what they sell, Aldrich. Well, I'm putting it on the screen. They have desserts. They have cheesy bread, subs, pizza bowls. They even have gluten-friendly cauliflower crust. You could try that. You could try Greek salad. I love their Greek salad, garden salads, desserts. They've got a lot you can consider. Way, way better than all that bread and milk we showed you earlier. But the desserts look like this. This is the Cinesquares. Love the Cinesquares. But maybe you want a double chocolate brownie with your pizza. That's also 50% off. Whatever you decide to order, whether it be subs, steak and cheese, maybe a meatball sub, You may be surprised that they have items on their menu you didn't even know that they specialize in. So be sure to check them out and tell them, I was going to say tell them I sent you, but that's part of the promo code, right? WTKR, that's our TV call letters, and 50, they'll know or surmise that you were watching First Warning Live. So just thank you for your time. Just remember, it doesn't matter if the weather is sunny or serious. Doesn't matter. Just know every day's a gift, right? You can't change yesterday. You can't even change really what's passed through today because it's 8:30, but you can change tomorrow. And so just make the most of it. Don't let tomorrow, Thursday, a mostly sunny day go evaporate because you're focused on Saturday and Sunday. You see what I'm saying? Enjoy each day as it comes. That's what I'm trying to say. But we'll see you here tomorrow night with some pizza winners. In the meantime, take care.